What up, everybody? Good morning. Welcome to Get Your News On with Ron, the world's first viewer-curated streaming news show. What does that mean? That means you guys tweet me articles, and that's how we build the show. I'm seeing everything for the first time. Also, if we got a guest, which we do today, it means that you guys submit questions for the guest. And I know I introduced my guest a little bit ago here on the Twitters, but she's joining me today. Please welcome Angelica Munez. Did I screw up your last name, Angelica?
Angelica Dueñas.
Dueñas.
Yes. It's okay. Núñez and Dueñas, we get those confused all the time.
I'm not the first person to do that.
Not at all.
All right. Okay. All right. And she is running for California's 29th district as a Green. So we got another Green Party folk here, and it's good to have you. We've been trying to have you on the show for a little while now, but I know you had some personal stuff going on. You also have been busy with other stuff related to the campaign. Yeah. So I'm glad we were finally able to make this happen.
Me too. Thank you so much for making time for us, and we're glad we were able to finally make it on.
Yeah. No, I'm thrilled you're here, and I know you're a little under the weather too. So. Guys,
yeah,
Angelica, her voice is starting to go, but she's still hanging in there for us, and she's still ready and excited to take your questions. So please start submitting some questions for Angelica. She's running in the 29th district as a Green. We're also going to do some news with her too. And yeah, don't be shy. Pasta's in the chat today. He'll be filtering the questions. And Joe's here. Everybody's here. It's a party. It's Get Your News On with Ron on a Wednesday. Finally back to our normal time. Angelica, I've been on the road for a little while, so we've been doing a bunch of random times. And yesterday, me and Lee Camp did a special time because he's traveling out to Los Angeles soon. So this was the only time. We could do it. Was yesterday in the afternoon. So I've been doing it all kinds of willy-nilly. And finally, we're just back to our regular scheduled programming right here at the lovely 10 a.m. hour Pacific Standard Time. So we're back. And yeah, we're feeling good.
That's great. Congratulations on your tour and getting to talk to all these amazing people.
Thank you.
I love Lee, and we're looking forward to actually this weekend. I'm sure you'll be there.
I'm going on Friday. Which
on Friday? Okay, great. Me too. So
nice. We gotta hang. Hang. That's exciting. Cool. Well, let's get into your campaign here in just a few minutes because there's a few really pressing things. Guys, so as you may be aware, they are going to officially vote on net neutrality. Let me get something up here. They're going to officially vote on net neutrality at noon Pacific time, 3 p.m. 3 p.m. Eastern time. Senate set to vote on overturning FCC's net neutrality repeal. This is just the first thing I was able to pull up, you guys, but I'll tweet it. It's from NPR. You guys know NPR, National Petroleum Radio, or Nice Polite Republicans. That's how we do it here. So let me tweet this real quick so we can give a net neutrality update. And then we'll dive into more of the stories of the day. Because, Angelica, you probably already know this. Net neutrality is a really big issue for me.
Absolutely.
Yeah, for a lot of reasons. One of them is kind of a personal reason. I might be out of a job if we lose it. So they're going to be voting. The Senate is voting on a resolution Wednesday. That's today, to nullify the FCC's rollback of net neutrality, which is scheduled to take place last month. At least one Republican, Senator Susan Collins, has joined. Two other Republicans, John Kennedy of Louisiana and Murkowski of Alaska, Lisa Murkowski of Alaska, also seem to have joined. So a final vote could come around 3 p.m. Eastern time or noon. So in about 2 hours, you guys. This is a big deal. This is important because it's going to stall any implementation. Is this a long road? Yes. Why is it a long road? Because this needs to be approved by a Republican-dominated Congress, and it's got to be signed off on by President Trump. So the CRA has a long haul of working. What's the permanent fix for net neutrality? Municipal broadband all across the country. A lot of you guys have been following my personal municipal broadband fight here in Pasadena. That's continuing. And it's going to continue. And, check out the prior videos to see what I've been going through with that. It's been a fun journey. And I don't have the mayor on my side. but a couple city council people seem to be pretty receptive to it. And they're also receptive to hearing different plans on how we can orchestrate municipal broadband as efficiently and affordably as possible. So I want to reach out to some of the folks that are doing mesh networks out in New York City. I also want to reach out to Longmont, Colorado, and see how they did it. And anyone, if you're interested in more details about how I've been trying to go about this in Pasadena, please email me. And I know some of you have been doing similar things in your community, and some of you have had better results than I have. Some of you, your mayor was actually receptive to the idea of municipal broadband, and they actually realized what an important issue it was. So they're really listening, and that's freaking great. We all got to try in our communities. Some of us are going to see success easier than others, but what's important is that we're all doing it. So that's, oh, and guys, thanks for the compliments on my Rick and Morty shirts. All right. So that's the update there. Angelica, do you have any thoughts on net neutrality before we move on to you?
Well, I mean, my opinion is that, all utilities should be public, municipally ran, from water, power, to, internet. I think that we depend on the internet so much on just about everything that it has become to the point that it's a utility. I worked at places where the internet goes down, everybody's going home because there's no way for us to get any work done. So it's necessary. And it should be something that all municipalities, all cities should be looking at, implementing a public internet system. It benefits them, the government entities, and it benefits the people. So yeah, I think that we need to take a stronger stance on, making internet a public utility.
I'm with you 110%. So questions are already coming in for you, Angelica. So we're going to jump into some questions for you. Edwin wants to know, have you been working with unions as part of your platform?
We have not. We have reached out to unions, a few unions locally. We haven't gotten much of a response. Unfortunately, locally, it's kind of more of a I would say the establishment Democrat candidates kind of have that closer relationship with the unions around here, unfortunately. But we have reached out. We do take a look at their stance, their policy, and stuff like that to tailor ours. So we definitely keep their needs, as a priority. We do hope to, on our first 100 days, write legislation to repeal Taft-Hartley. So we definitely believe in unions and strengthening them. Unfortunately, right now they're not too receptive to our outreach requests.
Why do you think that is?
I think that there is a little bit of kind of, I don't want to say fear, but there is kind of like around here anyway. It's really hard to make changes happen in a at a time where, with Trump going on, there's a fear of like Trump and the Republicans and etc. And I think that the unions that are at least around here are very Democrat heavy, and they have been in the past as far as their funding support, etc. I think it's kind of a scary time to make such a big move. We are green, and even though I feel that our platform aligns a lot better with where their stances are, I understand. You know what I mean? It's a scary time, and we do have individuals who are members of unions who are receptive, and who we're hoping that once we get past the primary, we can try and make solidify those relationships. I think it's just out of fear and concern, and especially with the primary, a lot of organizations, not just unions, don't want to make a stand or an endorsement quite yet until after the primary. So that's kind of one of those things that we've been finding out with politics, that even some organizations which we really thought they were going to be able to make a stand early on, we haven't been able to get a solid stand for any candidate. Okay. So it's a lot of that. Like a lot of organizations are waiting till after the primary before they pick, who they're going to get behind.
Now, I know you've watched the show before, which is awesome, and thank you so much. But I will say this anyway, because I say this to everyone just because I feel like it's proper and polite. When I'm looking around, you already know this, but it's not that I'm not paying attention to you. It's that I'm trying to filter the questions. Pasta helps
Sure,
me,
no, it's okay.
but I try to filter them by topic the best I can. So it's not that I'm not listening. It's that I'm trying to make sure everybody who wants to ask you a question gets an opportunity to, and that I try to group them together the best that I can, even though they're happening in real time. So you know that when I'm looking around, that's what I'm doing. But I always like to tell everybody anyway. And also, you know, I hate to interrupt with some more breaking news here, but and Angelica, maybe you can help me. Guys, I cannot find my $21 trillion bill anywhere. I looked everywhere. I looked in my dresser drawer. I asked my girlfriend. She has not seen it. Somebody told me
Have you checked all your pants? Because sometimes, you know, you can leave
all of my pants, all of my pants. And you know what? 2 days ago was laundry day, and they were not in any of my pants.
It didn't come out. Okay.
No. We checked the dryer. We even asked some of the people in the apartment complex, you know, that might have used
maybe you left it in your car, because I know sometimes, like my phone, it'll slip in between the seats, you know. And I have to call it to find it.
I know. I checked my car too. Now, someone on Twitter told me to check the Pentagon. I've not checked the Pentagon yet. I think I'm going to head there. I think I'm going to head there after
That's usually where I leave my trillions, is the Pentagon.
That's where you leave your. I mean, if I had a dime every time.
All that Soros money that we get accused of getting.
So I'm looking for that. If anybody sees it, please tweet me at Ron Placone.
That's ridiculous. Isn't that angering?
It's
my God.
Ridiculous. I mean, yeah. What all could we do with that?
Trillion.
Like, just oops. I don't know. I mean, that's like
it's like 6 extra zeros. You know, where did they went? You know, it's crazy. It's crazy.
Someone told me to check my private jet. I'm gonna check there next. The Ron Jet.
But that sounds like fun, actually. Ron Jet. It's like a band.
That would be a cool band name. Now you're speaking my language. Now you're really speaking my language. I like it. But you know, it's one of those things. I have a feeling there was just somebody involved in the Pentagon that just saw Office Space and took it way too seriously and was like, I got an idea.
It's crazy. It's almost like that. It's almost like that. I mean, how can that even happen? How?
It's gross. I mean, it's very, very gross.
It's the military-industrial complex. You know, it comes down to all these entities, these agencies that don't have to mark down where they spend their money. The CIA, the FBI, you know, all these, you know, foreign missions that they go on that we have no idea. I'm assuming that's where all that money goes. You know, it's all these secret missions and stuff like that they're involved in. I mean, where else can that much money be going?
Yeah, well, and when you have an economy of war, nobody asks questions, or well, people do, but nobody with power asks questions.
Yeah. Meanwhile, Flint, $50 million could fix that issue.
Yeah,
nothing. We can't do that.
Yep,
it's crazy. It's disgusting.
It is disgusting. So, let's get back to you. You're getting a lot of questions here. So people want to know strategically, why did you make the decision to run as a Green?
Well, I don't think it was the strategy.
Okay.
I was a Democrat. Well, I'll go backwards. I was no party preference when I turned 18. I was no party preference up until 2016. I registered Democrat in order to be able to not have any issues to vote for Bernie in the primary and to run as a delegate. I eventually got a position as a delegate with Bernie Sanders. So I was a delegate at the National Democratic Convention in 2016. I experienced firsthand the DNC and the rigging and the just the lack of respect, period, to the Bernie camp. And you know, with WikiLeaks, with their stance on fracking, etc. I was not able to stay a Democrat. So when I left the Democratic Party, at the same time, I became aware of the Green Party and their platform, their values, and I realized that those really aligned with where I stand. And I feel that I mean, I totally respect people who run as independents. I think it's some people are doing a really great job doing that. But I believe that running under a platform, a party platform, really kind of establishes where your stance are, and what you believe in, and it gives the people a better idea as to where you would be heading, once you make it into office. So I really felt that the Green Party's platform was very closely aligned to where my beliefs are, and I just fell in love with their peace platform, their nonviolence stance, and their grassroots democracy, their stance on social justice, um, and just their ecological stances. We believe in economic justice and environmental justice, and we believe that that is all related. They are eco-socialists, and I didn't realize that I was an eco-socialist, until I learned what it was. And
Well, describe that for anybody that might not be in the know.
yeah, so I mean, it's capitalism is based on the idea of endless resources, and basically, the economy is ran by uh, demand and what have you. But with eco-socialism is the idea that there are a limited amount of resources, that that capitalism is not sustainable, and that we need to make sure that we are looking at our environment at the same time when we're looking at economic we're making economic decisions. So for example, an economy based on clean energy versus coal. So we are getting people jobs, we're getting people to work, we're getting people trained and educated in a new field. But at the same time, we are looking at ways to protect the environment. I think that a really good idea, which a smaller scale is getting looked at, is figuring out ways of how to use the plastic that we are disposing to create new things, whether it's homes, product, etc. Because again, plastic is not breaking down; it's going onto the ocean, it's killing animals, and it's causing bigger problems in our environment. So those are just small examples in a smaller scale, but that's basically the gist of it: is looking at economy and the environment and being able to complement each other without affecting our environment in the long run or in the short run.
So basically, you're saying that we can have jobs in sustainable energy fields. Now,
Absolutely.
having that platform position, how can you prove you're not a terrorist?
Oh man, I know it gets really hard, right?
No, I mean that's the thing. I mean, and I would make the argument going on that if and I hate bringing up 2016 at this point because it's so tiring for all of us. But I really got to say, and this will transition into another piece of breaking news we do have to hop into real quick. Had Hillary Clinton really run on a Green New Deal and promised the people in the Rust Belt good renewable energy jobs that weren't dangerous for their health, like fracking or anything like that, I really do think she'd be president right now. But that wasn't industry approved, so she didn't go that route.
I think that many of of the Bernie camp people who eventually did not end up voting for her, if she would have taken a stronger stand on fracking was a deal breaker for a ton of people. So when you're afraid to make some strong stances, guess what happens? You don't motivate people, you don't inspire people, and we have what we ended up with, Trump. I mean, we tried our best to prevent that from happening.
So we're going to go to my home state of PA really quick here. Angelica, and I'm sure you probably heard about this already this morning. 4 socialist-backed candidates win Pennsylvania legislative primaries. 4 Democratic candidates backed by the DSA won primary elections for legislative seats in Pennsylvania on Tuesday. In the Pittsburgh area, Summer Lee and Sarah Innamorato, Democrats who are both members of DSA, won primaries for House Districts 34 and 21. They beat Paul Costa and Dom Costa. Now, I grew up in Pittsburgh, so I can tell you guys, the Costa family, they are the Clintons of Western Pennsylvania, and they are arguably more annoying. I am beyond thrilled they lost. I am so happy they lost. By the way, just in case you're wondering what snakes in the grass they really are, when Dom Costa knew he was going to lose, first of all, the entire Costa family, including the younger one, Jessel Costa, who I actually went to school with, I'm pretty sure if that guy hasn't changed, which it looks like by the way he conducts himself on Twitter, he hasn't. He's, of course, working in politics because the family doesn't know anything else. I don't think the kid's ever had an original thought in his freaking life. He was tweeting about the importance of the Democrats maintaining unity and sticking together, and that Democrats, what the DSA is doing is wrong. Meanwhile, Dom Costa, when Dom knew he was going to lose the primary, what did he try to do at the last second? He tried to run as a Republican. They're lecturing about party loyalty. When dude knew he was going to lose, he tried to run as a Republican. That family is beyond corrupt. They are beyond pathetic. I'm glad 2 of them are gone and the rest of them need to go too. And I am thrilled those DSA candidates picked them off. Beyond thrilled. So go Pennsylvania. Go Pittsburgh. Can't wait to see Yins in November because I always come home for Thanksgiving.
It's such great news. It really is. And it's like we needed some wins. It gets hard after a while. You know, since 2016, it's been pretty rough. But these wins that have been coming along the way are just really what's motivating and what keeps people going. So it's always good to hear, you know, the good guys getting through.
Mm-hmm. Well, so why, let's see, Balthazar, thank you very much for the super chat contribution. And thank you very much even more for the play on words. I guess that's the Costa corruption in politics. Balthazar. Thanks, buddy. You know me. You know me. All right, so let's get back to you, Angelica. So in regards to healthcare, are you single payer?
Absolutely. Yes. Single payer all the way. You know, we do have Medicare for all single payer on our platform. I personally believe Medicare for all is not good enough. My dad is on Medicare and it's been a nightmare. You know, we still have private insurance involved. I believe that we need to push harder. We need single payer healthcare. And, you know, we believe that there is no room for profit in healthcare. There should be, you know, healthcare is not a commodity.
Well, wait a second, Angelica. They've never done that anywhere else in the world, though, have they?
Kind of a lot of places, a little bit. Kind of all over us. Like we're like surrounded by it a little bit. And it's been really functional, and actually it has been cheaper. And eventually it will save us a whole lot of money. Like it's cheaper to start off with, just because we spend so much money already subsidizing private healthcare insurance companies. And, you know, it'll be cheaper to begin with. And then in the long run, we'll start saving a whole lot of money because we're going to have people taking preventative measures on their health and being able to catch things earlier rather than later. And we'll have less sick people, and we'll be spending less money on you know, caring for super sick people who don't come into the hospital until they're stage 4. And now we're talking millions of dollars for a few months of care to extend someone's life when we could have saved someone's life for a fraction of the price. So it's a really good thing. It really is.
So here is a very light question for you. What are your thoughts on the BDS movement?
Israel, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I personally support it. I think that at this point that we need to, as people, as individuals, take some stances. I love it when municipalities, when schools are supporting their students and their, you know, constituents in those moves. I think it's ridiculous when we have municipalities and schools making it illegal or something that you can get fired for supporting. I think that at this point, it is very clear that Israel, and I'm not talking about the people, right? We're talking about the government,
right?
That they're making really bad decisions, and that people are dying, people are being killed, innocent people who are simply protesting. Gaza and you know, the Palestinian people, they're literally living in an open air prison, and it's only getting worse and worse and worse. The lack of respect for human life is just appalling. culturally, we have some people in Israel that really believe that the Palestinians are non-human, they're not people, and they need to stop existing. And I understand that they say it's the other way around. But actions speak louder than words. And what we're seeing is like literally the Israeli government, you know, creating a genocide on the Palestinians. And if the United Nations, if the United States, if these, large governments are not making a stand, then we as people and individuals need to do what we can do. And, sometimes it's the bottom line that matters. And if money is in the lack of money, is really going to make some changes happen, then so be it. I think it's a small action that we can participate in. And hopefully we would have enough people locally there that would push for their government to make these changes. So that way, we can all be living harmoniously. I mean, I don't know about the two-state solution. I'm thinking that maybe a one-state secular might be a better way to go. But again, we need to study that really, really closely. I don't know if the Israeli government would be willing to go back to the 1940 something line. I forget the year. I don't think that they would go back to it. I think it's going to be a whole lot more involved, and I think that a one state secular solution might be what works best in this case here.
Yeah, I mean, it's a very complex issue, and the saddest part is that we can't. It's so hard to have these conversations because there's all these stigmas, and I really hate when people say, "Oh, are you pro this? Are you anti this? Are you pro Israel or anti?" It's like I'm not. I'm pro human beings. I'm opposed to what oppressive governments do.
Yeah, it's really complicated because
it's very complicated, and like
it's the truth is like there is no Jewish state other than Israel, and I get that part too. But look at what's been happening, since the 40s and 50s, since they've been there. Can we make this happen in a more peaceful way? Can we take a stronger position in getting on the table and bringing everybody in to talk and be more stringent? Can the United Nations, really back themselves? Like I feel like Israel has been getting a pass, and I don't think that's fair. It's been a long problem, and it's not going to be an easy solution by any means. But we need to take it very seriously and start taking more proactive measures. And most definitely, we need to be acknowledging the abuse that the Palestinians have been facing for over 50 years.
Yeah, that was a great answer. That's a great answer. So Balthazar wants to know, and you've already kind of hinted at this, but retouch on it because maybe Balthazar, you might have missed it. Thoughts on municipal cellular or municipal mobile broadband? Do you think it's possible to remove control of mobile networks from corporations? And thank you very much for the Super Chat contribution, by the way.
I think that, yes, we absolutely can. I strongly believe that we need to make internet a public utility. I believe that all utilities should be municipal. Or whatever is the most convenient way to run it. I think it's decentralization is key, and just because it works one place, it might not work in another place. But I do definitely believe that we need to make internet service a public utility, and that is to ensure that we're not going to have the fast lane, slow lane things going on. We're not going to have independent media being affected and prevented from folks having access to and to support small businesses and individuals who are have their businesses online. I think that it's beneficial to all of us. It's like similar to federal school loan forgiveness. It's something that it's like an immediate economic stimulus. Like if you don't have that extra, if you're a business, I mean, it's pretty expensive to actually to run your monthly internet. If you don't have that extra $600 or what have you a month to deal with that, that's actually something that you can invest back into your employees. These are improvements that you can make into your business. The same with even in the home. These are expenses that you can focus on, taking care of repairs, your car, upgrading your vehicle, etc. That which at the end of it all benefit the environment and so on and so forth and the economy. So it's all kind of like, interrelated, and it can make a big difference. And it's not really that complicated to do. It's something that we can definitely do. And I'm loving that smaller communities are moving that route, and we need to just take a look at what they're doing, how they're doing it, and get these good examples and use them as templates, and how we can make that happen, nationwide.
So, what are your thoughts on the conflict in Syria?
I think that it's so sad. It's so terrible. And from what I'm looking and what I've been seeing, um, the mainstream media is just giving us a whole lot of propaganda and, pardon my French, a whole lot of bullshit. And I think
that's here.
and we've been, this is something that it's not like we haven't seen this before. This is what we saw in Iraq. This is what we saw in Libya. This is what we see, and this is what happens. And it's almost like really sad that they can't get a new, thing going. It's like the same story, and it's all based on false information. And at the end of it all, we make a bad situation worse. Iraq has been just a whole lot of chaos. Afghanistan has been a whole lot of chaos. Libya, for goodness sakes, and what we're looking at in Syria is that we're funding and arming the terrorists. We're actually arming the bad guys here. And it's almost like, what are we doing this for? Back in 2007 or 2006, a while back, when I was working on my bachelor's degree in political science, I had a professor who was a specialist in the Middle East. And at that point, we were already in Afghanistan and Iraq. And he says, next is Sudan and Syria. And he was explaining it.
It wasn't Juan Cole, was it?
No, it was Professor, I want to say Seiler, but I could be wrong.
Because I just remember, and not to, I'll just clarify why I asked that real quick, and then let you continue. Juan Cole was the guy that I was reading a lot of when Iraq was going on initially, to figure out what was really going on over there. And just wanted to insert a quick point here that it's so interesting that we need to rely on the radical academics. There's a few of them left, although sadly it seems like they're a dying breed. But we need to rely on the radical academics and the roving journalists to tell us the truth about what's going on in the world.
Yes.
Without them, we'd be totally lost.
Completely lost. And what he explained to me was it was basically oil. Like, there's a big oil reserve in Syria. And, this is where the oil pipe needs to go through. And these guys all want to it. And it comes down to even with Russia. I mean, I think Russia, in this case here, I think they're on the right side of things, but I think that we shouldn't really be making Russia seem as though they're benevolent and so amazing. I mean, I think they have enough internal problems here. But in this case here, they are trying to keep the terrorists out of that area. And what we're hearing too on the mainstream media, it's a lot of hearsay. They're getting stories from down the line. No one's actually on the ground. But from people on the ground, like Eve Barlett and others, what they're reporting is literally the complete opposite of what we're seeing in the mainstream media. But what they're saying is that no, Assad is actually liberating these areas that have been taken over by the terrorists. That the white helmets are not a real group, that they're not really going around saving people, that this is all false, that they're just doing it for the camera. And meanwhile, these people are winning awards and getting even more money. So it's really troubling. It's like really Orwellian. It's like 1984, that we're just getting the information to really just kind of stir up war. I mean, I don't know if you guys remember, like when Iraq started, we weren't really getting any footage. We weren't really getting any people, like what's happening. But with Syria, all of a sudden you're seeing dead babies, and like it's almost like the propaganda machine is really, really trying really hard to get us riled up and to demand war, right? And at the same with like Iraq, oh, that lady who made the statement in I think it was the United Nations about the dead babies, you know, getting taken the Iraqi soldiers taking the babies out of the incubators and putting on the floor, letting them die. And then we come to find out that this woman was not even a nurse in Iraq. She was like the daughter of some foreign dignitary, right? So this is just a whole bunch of lies basically to get us into war, and it's really troubling. And however, I feel like this time around it's not as easy to get through, and I think that's why internet neutrality is so important. That, you know, we've been able to get a lot of real information online, real time, to be able to kind of counter a lot of the mainstream media. But I mean, they're definitely pushing war with Syria, and that is something that we need to, you know, keep an eye on. And that's why we need to support peaceful candidates. And that's why we're running for Congress. People go, well, why aren't you running for a local office? Why don't you, you know, something that you can win, you know? The thing is, though, it's not about winning. It's not about losing. It's about, you know, where do the people's needs, you know, where do they stand, and what needs to be done. And in this case right now, we need to get into the federal level to stop these wars. I mean, the military industrial complex, you know, people dying, and this is very, very important. And I don't think that I am so special, but again, I think that I am capable and that we care. And I do have a team of people who are very, very much ready to start fighting these injustices. And I really do believe that if we can stand together, there's more of us than there are of them. And that's what they're scared of. And I think that's why we need to fight for net neutrality. We need to fight for peace. And we need to fight for freedom of the press, because these are all things that are being targeted all at the same time. And it's really, really concerning.
Yeah, I mean, that's very, very well put. But I will ask you this. So what is, because, you know, and I understand your point that it's a bigger movement, that there's a bigger, you know, thing going on here. I totally understand that. But on the same note, it's like we got to get some W's here, too. So what is your path to victory?
As far as like our campaign strategy?
Yes.
Well, we're doing a lot of outreach. We are knocking on doors. We are tabling. We are texting. Actually, it's one of those things that we've been doing a whole lot. Interestingly enough, you know, with I guess how people are. People don't answer their phones if they don't, you know, read the number that they recognize, right? So what we've been doing a lot, which has been very successful, has been text messaging our platform stands and where we stand and who we are. And people are very excited when we're knocking on doors. People are very much excited. So our strategy is to make contact with people and let them know that we're running, and let them know what our stances are, our platform. And you know, once they know that we're running, people are super excited. And even though we have a large Democratic populace in our district, we have an even bigger independent or no party preference here in our district. So it's been really exciting, especially at the colleges. When we go to the colleges, believe it or not, one of the questions is, are you running as a Republican or a Democrat? And we're like, neither. And they're like, okay, great. You know, and then they want to sign up and they want to hear about it. So believe it or not, especially with millennials, people, you know, under 35, there is a whole lot of curiosity and a whole lot of, I want to say even anger towards the major parties, and a curiosity to the third party. So
no, I do believe it. And,
yeah.
you know, I'll add something to your story. So in 2016, I was touring a lot of colleges because, like, during the election year, that was when, you know, I was starting to work with Jimmy, but it wasn't on a, you know, like a full-time basis like it is now. So I was still just kind of touring colleges as a comedian, and I was a political act. And I went to some colleges, and you know, Judah Friedlander and I talked about this, and we saw the same thing. We were both touring a lot of colleges on the campaign trail in 2016. We saw 95 excitement for Bernie Sanders, about 5% excitement for Trump, 0% excitement for Hillary Clinton. And one thing that happened to me is at one show, you know, I would do a Q&A afterwards, and I would always be asked, who am I going to vote for? And, you know, the first time I was asked that, and I was honest, and I said, you know, I'm going to vote for Jill Stein, and here's why. And I explained why. And after I was done explaining it, people clapped. A bunch of people in the audience applauded because I wasn't voting for either of the major parties and was going to vote third party. So yeah, I mean, I do believe it. I really, you know, and I've seen it firsthand too. So many younger people, especially college-age people, are really disenfranchised by the broken two-party duopoly.
Yeah.
So we got an interesting super chat question here, which, Marcus, thank you so much for your contribution. And by the way, guys, so I'll give another, and I'm sorry, this is embarrassing, but I switched up my lighting, and some of you guys have been complimentary. You said that it looks the best it ever has. And thank you for that. Still working on it. But I had to move it back. And because I moved it back, I had to turn it up. And because I had to turn it up, now the batteries do not last as long as they used to. I used to only have to recharge it every like 5 shows. Now I have to recharge it pretty much every show because I have to turn it up higher, which, yeah, you know, a normal thinking human being would have thought about that ahead of time. But I'm kind of a dope sometimes, and I totally didn't even think of that. I didn't even think about that. Something that common sense would tell people, but admittedly, I had a brain fart. That didn't dawn on me. So one of my light bulbs went out. One of my lights went out. So that's why it's darker now. Both lights might go out before we're done here, although we're almost done. So I apologize for that. And yeah, the lights will be charged better in the future. And sorry that I'm such a moron. No,
I mean, lighting, that's like probably the last things that you're worried about when you're trying to get your show started.
So Cutter, so here's the super chat question. Cutter is paying DC Metro $100,000 to run system for the Caps game tomorrow for 1 hour extra. What is Ron and Guest's thoughts on this? What are Green's thoughts on transit? So I guess I'll start. I don't know. Like, I'm not familiar with this. This is my first time hearing about it, Marcus. So I'm not familiar with the direct relationship between Cutter and the DC Metro. As far as having better public transportation options, and maybe I'm, you know, and if I'm missing something here, I apologize. But, you know, this is my first time hearing about this. I might not be fluent in everything related to your question. But as far as having good public transportation options for a sporting event, I'm totally for it. You know, I mean, why not? You know, the Metro in DC is a pretty good public transportation system. At least in my experience, it has been. So yeah, after a Caps game, when people are probably drinking and stuff like that, I think that's a good thing to have some public transportation options. And I got to admit, I am not rooting for the Capitals. But Angelica, what are your thoughts on that?
Again,
take it more broad too, and just talk about transit in general, please.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I'm not too familiar with this either, but as far as public transportation, I do believe that we need to get a better system going, especially here in Los Angeles. We have the worst public transportation. It's just so bad. The lines just don't make sense sometimes. The timing, there's some really popular bus lines that don't get as much attention as they should. And then, you know, the other way around. So it's not really, you know, that really organized. If you want to get from one place to another, that would take like 40 minutes in a car. It could take like 3 hours in public transit. Like it's not convenient. I think that we do need to make improvements as far as um, providing subsidized transit for special events that are likely to be, having people be drinking. I don't know. I guess we would have to take a look at the economy of it all and see if it makes sense, if it would be better maybe at a smaller scale and offering, rides or what have you. I don't know. But as far as in general, I mean, I do believe that in my utopian, America, we would have, alongside every freeway or highway to have bike lanes so that people can, bike lanes and pedestrian lanes where people can get to and from, realistically. For example, in Oregon, Portland, there's some areas where if you're a pedestrian, there's no way for you to get to one place to another unless you're walking alongside the freeway. And that's so dangerous. So I think that, we need to really improve our pedestrian ways, our bike lanes, and to make them functional in the sense that, if you really want people to stop driving, then you need to make these systems a whole lot more convenient for people to make sure that they can use them. And, it comes down to also like electric trains alongside, popular highways. And I think that would really improve, people stop driving. Because another thing too, people love being on public transit because you can get work done. You get on the train. If you have Wi-Fi in there, you can get some work done on your ride into work. There's a lot of things that people would love for, to be able to use public transit. But on the flip side, it's inconvenient. It's going to take them triple the time to get there and back than, just driving in a car. So we need to take a look at all of it. And I love that cars are getting better and more, fuel efficient. And I would love to see, where we have everybody's driving an electric car and we have electric railways and, metros and what have you, where we are really making some big impacts on getting a better environment going. I'm a supporter, specifically for an event. I don't know. We'd have to take a look at the pros and the cons. Maybe there could be a smaller scale, ride share thing going on that might work better.
Totally. Yeah. You brought up Los Angeles. A lot of people don't even know we have a subway here.
Yeah, they're like, wow,
like a lot of people don't even know
like New York.
They're like, oh, we have one of the it's not near as efficient or good, but we have one.
It's there.
Yeah,
it's
and if
there,
you used it more, it might get better. And now I'm not trying to judge because I've never used it ever.
It's fun. You should try it.
I heard it. I have used. Wait, actually, I guess I have. I have done a train before in North Hollywood. So I guess.
Yeah. That's the metro. So that's
all right. So I have done it.
Yeah.
All right. So I've done it once, and it was like the lamest way possible. My buddy's wife dropped us off at the stop in North Hollywood because it was too far to walk to the stop from Burbank. So we took it into downtown, and the only reason we took it was because we were going to a concert and we didn't want to have to deal with parking.
Yeah.
So his wife dropped us off.
Yeah.
Both sandwiches. No, she didn't. But that would have been cool if she would have been.
That would have been nice.
Behave yourself, boy.
There's no eating in the metro, though. But
don't talk to any strangers. Enjoy your Meat Puppets concert. We were going to see the Meat Puppets. They rocked it. They freaking rocked it, Gallica.
No, I love it. I love the metro. I live not that far from the North Hollywood station, so I love to park there. I get dropped off there all the time by my mom or my husband, and I think it's great. I think it's really convenient, especially. I'll be honest. I don't like driving to downtown. I don't like the exits on the freeway. I don't like the parking. I don't like the one-way streets. I don't like it. So if I can get there to the metro and back, I will take it every single time. And once you get past a certain spot underground, which I was like amazed, there's Wi-Fi. There's Wi-Fi underground, and down closer to downtown areas. So I mean, if we can just make these things work, I mean, come on, who doesn't want to be on their phone all the way to work? I know, I see people doing it all the time on the freeway. So I know people would really be interested. And, getting to and from without having to worry about driving. There's so many things that we can be doing. We can be updating, our families on what's going on, what have you. I mean, some of us have like really long commutes. So it could be convenient, to many of us and time saving if we can do it right.
Totally. By the way, Craig Robb points out over here in the chat, speaking of Ovechkin, I'm surprised Schiff hasn't summoned him to Congress to see if he is a Russian. And I will tell you this, my favorite player is Evgeny Malkin, so I appreciate the Russian players too. And Adam Schiff is an unfunny hack. Moving on. Oh, and Balthazar points out, thank you very much again for the Super Chat contribution, Balthazar. But 100% of donors polled had excitement for HRC. So even though our college findings were otherwise, those donors, can't forget them. They have a voice too. So we are pretty much out of time here. Angelica, please use the last couple minutes to plug everything you need to plug. Tell people about the campaign. Tell people when they need to vote. Tell people how they can help you.
Absolutely. So we are running in California's 29th Congressional District. We are in the East San Fernando Valley. Our website, angelica4congress.com. That's ANGELICA, the number 4, congress.com. If you are interested in volunteering, we have a volunteer tab there. If you're interested in donating, we have a donate tab there. If you want to send us some information, you can send us to angelica4congress@gmail.com, or you can call or text me at, let me get this right, 818-962-8392, and we will get back to you. We have lawn signs ready to go. So if you are in CD 29 and you can adopt a lawn sign, let us know. We'll get one to you. It's really exciting. If you can help us out texting, calling, door knocking, let us know. There's only a couple of weeks left full weeks left until the election. And we can make a whole lot of things happen. People are very excited. They just need to know that we're there. And we need your help to make it happen. We are 100% people powered. We have no employees. And it's all volunteers. And people are very excited. And we have phone banking every Wednesday in North Hollywood, if you take a look at our Facebook page. But we do have a phone banking app. So if you have a smartphone, you can do phone banking for us from anywhere. And as long as you can do it between 9 a.m. and 8:30 p.m. Pacific, you are great. Thank you so much, Ron, for having us.
Absolutely.
And, we look forward to getting on here between now and November when we make it to the general.
Absolutely. Best of luck to you. So again, this is Angelica Duenas running for California's 29th district as a Green. And so it's angelicaforcongress.com. Is that the number 4 or spelled out F?
The number 4. The number 4.
Angelica for number 4 congress.com. Angelica4congress.com. Guys, you have been watching Get Your News On with Ron. I'm going to have the battery situation better tomorrow. I promise you. This is the world's first viewer-curated streaming news show. Thank you again for your awesome questions for Angelica. You guys knock it out of the park. Every single guest we have, you guys rule. You know the drill with me. Patreon.com for a pay-what-you-can level. You get a bunch of exclusive content. Lucy started her podcast, by the way. You want to be privy to that, you got to become a patron. At a pay-what-you-can level, you get all kinds of exclusive content, including free show tickets. RonPlacone.com. Find out when I'm coming to a city near you. Graham Elwood and I have announced the second leg of the Progressive Comedy Tour. June 20th, we're going to be in Nashville, Tennessee. June 21st, Huntsville, Alabama. June 22nd, Asheville, North Carolina. June 23rd, Louisville, Kentucky. And June 24th, Atlanta, Georgia. Go to ronplacone.com or grahamelwood.com or the Progressive Comedy Tour on Facebook for information about that. I love you all very much. I will see you tomorrow at 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Angelica, best of luck to you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
There we go. Beautiful. All right. Take care.
Bye-bye.